We have Michael Morris here with me this morning, director at MRC Free Speech America. And if you're on Google, it's kind of hard to find stuff about the Russia hoax. Hi, Michael.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being here. How do they get away with that?
Look, it's incredible, right? I mean, MRC Free Speech America has been on Google's case for quite some time now. We've started tracking some of this bias and censorship all the way back before the 2022 midterms. So this is just par for the course for Google.
And we know this because it's not like this first time I've had MRC on the air. We know this, but everybody uses Google. It used to be Yahoo and Ask Jeeves and whatever, but Google has just taken over everything. I personally ask Alexa everything when I'm at home just to see what she'll say, and oftentimes if I ask her a political question, she'll just go, boom, boom, and won't answer me at all. So they're programmed to not want to tell you anything.
Yeah, look, MRC has been on the case of big tech bias and legacy media bias for over 35 years, and more people, instead of going to the salacious legacy media, are now turning to social media and news aggregators. According to Reuters Institute, for the first time, the proportion of people accessing news via social media and video networks, that's your TikToks, your Googles, etc., it's 54%, and they've surpassed TV and online news sites. Pew Research Center found that 66% of adults get their news from search engines. That's Google. Google has 90% of market share. And what we found in our recent survey is that if you tried to look for Tulsi Gabbard, just Tulsi Gabbard's name, over 4 days, you found 90% left-leaning sources to just 10% right-leaning sources. 33 total were on the left, only 4 were on the right, and of those 4, they were all Fox News, and 3 of the 4 focused on how the left was attacking Tulsi Gabbard. So even out of those 4, only one actually talked about the news.
So I want to know why Google is the master of the universe on this, if that's the fact. I mean, are we just sheeple that we just don't care? And what do we do about it? Because it's very frustrating. I'll try to go find something, and I have to literally dip out of Google and go to DuckDuckGo just to even find something.
Yeah, look, the American people rightly now are starting to understand that if you just watch TV, if you just read online news, what you're getting is drivel, plain and simple. And so they're looking to other sources. And so Americans are trying to find what the truth is. And unfortunately, when you go onto Google, when you go onto Microsoft, when you go onto Apple News, when you go to these news aggregators and these social sites, what you're finding is more of the same. These leftist big tech companies are pushing the same leftist drivel that Americans rightly ran from the TV and news and legacy media broadcasts. And what do you do about it? Well, that's very important. You have to go to original source material. So it's more homework for America.
It is, but America's lazy. So I mean, it's hard to get them to go past one-step things. We're a microwavable society. We just want stuff to fall in our lap. And sadly, if you look at the experts on Facebook, that's what they do. They see one thing that they agree with, and they roll with it, and you can't convince them otherwise.
Absolutely right. And look, where do you turn to? You turn to radio stations like yours, Fawn. You turn to the Media Research Center. You find right-leaning outlets that you compare these left-leaning drivel rags to, and you compare what is going on in the news media. You say, okay, if Google is going to give me this nonsense, if the legacy media is going to give me this nonsense, if TV news is going to give me this nonsense, where can I go? You can check out radio stations like yours and go to the MRC and see what they're really up to.
Yeah, but that's a step that it's past just doing a Google search or asking, whatever the new ones are. There's a new one, I think it's called Galaxy or something like that. Gemini or Alexa, or we're lazy and people don't go that far. So please do tune in to this station, because I have MRC on here all the time to tell you they're lying to you. And it's blatantly obvious. We're an ABC affiliate. It gags me. at the top of the hour when they constantly put the blame on Israel for everything that's going on, when anyone with a grain of common sense knows that it's the other way around.
Yeah, fun. Just listen to some of these headlines that Google was pushing. They've got The Atlantic, MSNBC, The Washington Post, NBC News, Politico, FactCheck.org, Daily Beast, PBS, and the list goes on. Here's from The Atlantic. Trump's desperate move to quiet the Epstein scandal. So again, subverting what the story is actually about. Why Tulsi Gabbard's treasonous conspiracy case against Obama is, listen to this, absurd. That's MSNBC. Tulsi Gabbard's seditious conspiracy claim is based on thin gruel. How are these news headlines? These are reading like commentaries or op-eds, straight opinion pieces, but this is the news that Google is pushing out to the American public just when they do a search for Tulsi Gabbard's name. Outrageous stuff.
Yeah, it's big time outrageous stuff. And Tulsi Gabbard is doing a really good job. I am very impressed with her so far, and so is Donald Trump. And J.D. Vance just said that he thinks there are going to be some subpoenas and arrests when it comes to the Russia hoax. Do you think that's actually going to happen this time?
Look, they're certainly making some moves, but you would never know it if you tried to do a search on Google and if you were looking at legacy media outlets, because they're doing all that they can to suppress the news that's coming out of the White House. No surprise there.
Yeah. So, it seems to be that Obama is seriously complicit in this. It really does. Everything that I've read from you guys and from the sources I trust, he knew everything and did nothing to stop it. So does that make him complicit or does that make him lazy? I mean, which one is it?
It's a fascinating question. And of course, there's actually a tie between Google and the Obama administration. We did a report not too long ago called The Revolving Door, and there were other reports on this as well, how Google had deep ties with the Obama administration, actually meeting dozens and dozens of times with the White House during his tenure in office. And we have a report back from 2024, the 41 times Google interfered in U.S. elections since 2008. And go check the report out. It's on mrcfreespeechamerica.org. It's also on newsbusters.org. There are numerous Obama ties in that report as well, showing how Google has actively been interfering in elections for a very long time now.
Yeah, and it's never going to stop until we hold them accountable. And good Lord, this makes, like I said, makes Watergate look like the sink was dripping. This is just huge and very treasonous, if you ask me. So hopefully something gets done. Michael Morris is director at MRC Free Speech America. The Google suppression of stories about Tulsi Gabbard and the Russia hoax is unacceptable. Will we do anything about it? Probably not. Just make sure you look for a different outlet. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.